All right. Good morning once again. You are welcome to Digital Hub. Okay, so we are still on I think we started looking at advanced data type in JavaScript. And I promise that we'll take it again because we're only trying to implement one of them, which is objects. But before that, I told us that these are data types that can be used to hold multiple values, unlike the variable that can only hold one value. So just to put it in proper definition, I told us that in JavaScript, advanced data types are complex data structure that allows you to store and manage collection of values. So the word collection of value is the multiple value that I'm talking about. Okay, so we need to understand it from that angle first, that in programming, particularly with JavaScript, where you want to wrap many values in one, what look like a variable, then that is under advanced data types. And then we look at the example. We started looking at the example of, or the key examples of advanced data types. So we're starting with the first one, which is the objects. So we're looking at objects, we're looking at array, we're looking at functions. All these falls under advanced data type in JavaScript. So I just set up a new files. I have my HTML file where I'll be rendering my JavaScript functions. And then let's just use comment to explain. So we're looking at advanced data types in JavaScript. So just in case you come across this video, this is web development section, learning JavaScript as the front-end development language for adding interactivity to our website. So I would like to work with external JavaScript in this section, which means that I will write my JavaScript an HTML document for rendering those functions in a two separate file, but the two files need to be connected. And like I've once taught us, you have to use the scripts tag with the source, and then you connect to the JavaScript file, which I created as JS Advanced. So let me close some of this to avoid confusion. So I'll just leave only the two files. I hope you guys are still hearing me very well. Let me confirm again. So with this, I have connected. Yes, okay, so with this, I have connected the two files. So I'm going to be working with external JavaScripts, and I've linked it with my HTML. Why do I need HTML? It's just to output, to help me to display, to render what I'll be doing in JavaScript. So now let's say I create one of the HTML elements like p tag, and I want to assign ID because I'm going to be grabbing it with the ID. So let's say ID demo, and I'm not passing any content because the content will be sent from JavaScript. So that is the idea. So I go to my JavaScript. So start looking at advanced data types, advanced data type. And the very first one we are looking at as an example. So an example, we are starting with the first one, which is called JavaScript objects. JavaScript objects. JavaScript objects. So I'm starting with that. So what is JavaScript objects? An object is a collection of key and objects. Make sure you write here because I don't know where you are going to get this video. An object is the collection of key pairs used to store data structure, used to store structured data. Let me use that word, structured data. Now, when you say structured data, we are talking about organized data. That's what it means. Organized data. That is what that word structured data means. So, for example, let's quickly look at the syntax. Remember, I told us we should always pay attention to syntax. How are we supposed to write the code? What format should the code be? That is the syntax. Now, being an object, for example, Prosper can be as an object because that is actually the essence of what we are doing. So instead of me holding or storing every part of Prosper in the program, I can decide to see Prosper or capture Prosper as an object. So if I am capturing Prosper as an object, then I need to understand that Prosper has properties. So every object needs properties, right? That is, these are the values that are attributed to that object. So for example, the task is that we should create an object. We should create person object. For example, we should create person object. So which means that we should create a data structure that can hold everything about a person. So let's say we use our keyword to introduce it. Remember that it's just like a single variable holding multiple value. Remember I said it before. But because it's holding more than one value, we are no longer calling it variable. We are not calling it what? Objects. All right. So for you to initiate or to introduce that object, you have to use the JavaScript word keywords that we have already discussed. So let's say Prosper, since it's a person, let's say Prosper object. And then we must also take note of the bracket we are using. The bracket is very important. So we are using coiling bracket like this, not square brackets. These are some of the things you need to pay attention to. And you know that the coiling bracket in programming is used to group scripts. So which means that you want to start throwing in the object properties, right? And then the object property comes in a way that you have the key and then you have the value. That is why that definition say what? Key pairs. That is what? Two in one. So the key here represents the variable, while the value is together with it. So just like we are nesting series of variable in a container. So I want to start with Prosper first name. So I'll say Prosper first name. I'm using camel case is, if it's a string, you know how to write string already. So his first name is Prosper. And then remember that we must always end with a comma because we are still declaring the objects, we are the object properties rather. So I want to capture his age. So his age is number, so that does not require quoting it. You put a comma. Right? Then the next one is let's say I want to capture his country. To capture his country. So country is a string, so I'm going to put this. So let's say Nigeria. comma, I want to capture his state. Let's say data. So let's say these are the, now the very last one, you don't need to you don't need to put comma after the last one. Please, let's take note of that. So now, because we are writing let me just see, I would just want to see why we are having that error. I hope the error is valid. Prosper equals to, let me troubleshoot to see what the error. Do you mean to use? Okay, good. So you can see that is why you have to learn how to debug. So the syntax is wrong. Sorry, I was thinking it's a normal variable. So we have to use not equals to, we have to use colon in the place of equals to, because we are creating it inside an object. So once you notice that kind of error, you know that something is wrong. So just hover on it and then press alternative what? 8, F8, or you just click on that place where it's showing the error. It will tell you, to give you a clue. So we have successfully created what? The object. Now we need to output the object with one of those output methods. And the output method should be written outside the curly bracket, not inside the code block. We need to take note of that. So the next one is what? To output the objects. So if I decide to output the object, if I decide to output the object, the whole object, I am going to get object and object.object. But if I want to output a value from the object, let's say I want to access the first name only, that is what I want to print out from this object, then remember that we have created an element with an ID. That is, I want to use a particular output method. So let me hear from somebody who can tell us the output method that I have already intended to use for me to create that P tag and give it what? An ID demo. Let me get a response. I expect somebody to know the output method that I intend to use for me to create ID and this. Can anybody help?
Document
Dot
get ID.
get element by ID. Good. Because once you introduce this, you have already defined the type of output method. So I will just type document dot get element by ID, right? So I'll open the brackets and then capture the ID as a string demo. So which means that go to the HTML file, grab this element that does not have content because I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the space in that container to output what I have written in JavaScript. That is why we did not put any content here. We just want to use it to render the JavaScript what object value in this case. So this we grab it, and then after grabbing it, how do you indicate in JavaScript that you are storing an HTML element? You put dot inner HTML. Remember that the inner HTML is a property of HTML in JavaScript that is used to store HTML element. So which means that from here to this place is just to grab it with an ID and then store it here, and then you will now equate what you are putting inside from JavaScript here. What am I putting inside? My object value. Now, the object value I want to store here is Prosper. And Prosper is in, sorry, is a, oh, I use the same name. Let me use different names so that it will be clear to us. So let's say what? Aguero. All right. Now I want to print out Aguero from Prosper object. So I'll start by referencing the object name, which is what? Prosper. Then I will concatenate by putting dot, which means that from Prosper container, bring out what? His first name. All right, then I will end my code. Now let's go to the front end to see whether we are being able to print out what? Prosper. So we have to go to the HTML. Remember, you do not render from JavaScript, you render from HTML. So I'll come to the HTML and then right click. If you have installed your output extension, like mine now, I've installed Open with Live Server. So I'll click here just to see the front end of it. So we should be able to see only Aguero from this particular object. So if you have any question, you can ask while we are waiting for it to open on the browser. If you have any question, you can ask.
I want to ask this JavaScript, like this thing that I created. I've finished designing my front end that is using HTML and CSS. But if I put the JavaScript, it's always on top. How can you move it to the middle?
If you put JavaScript, is always on top. Are you writing the JavaScript on any of those HTML elements already, or maybe you are just practicing on that page?
Yes. I just wrote something
Okay,
on the page.
you are
That is,
that same page.
yes, that same page. Then you went
Not
to go and hide under Java bar.
and that is not how you are supposed to apply it. You know, JavaScript will always want to take the first part. When we start application, we are supposed to be speaking it to those elements, not writing it as a separate entity.
Okay.
If you try writing it as a separate entity, there will be fights. Who is Oga and who is not Oga? So, is that the only question while I'm waiting for it to open on the front end for us to confirm if we have been able to output it? Mr. Collins, I think it's like you joined late. Are you here when we started? If you were here, you have question? You have?
Yes, sir. I've been here.
Okay. So I'm just waiting for the front end to open so that we confirm if we have successfully outputted that value. So while we are waiting for that to open fully, if I want to output another value, if you want to output the entire object, what you are going to do is that you will just stop here, you won't put dots. And when you print it, you are going to get object.object. You are not going to see any value inside. So if you want to see the value, that is where you go like this. So let me see if it has opened. Okay, so you can see that we have successfully outputted Aguero. So now if I want to output another one, what you do is that you copy this same code like this. That's Control C and then Control V. Now, what you will do is that you create another, let's try rendering it with the same, but this time around, let's say I want to display another value. Let's say it's age. I want to display its age. So if you go back to the front end now, you see that what? Instead of displaying both of them, is displaying what? The age. So if you want both of them to be retained, you create another ID. You create another ID, just like this. These are advanced data types, so there's a limit to how you can manipulate it. So I'll just add one, then I will now use that one to output the next value so that I can still retain the other one. Because in as much as you use the same ID, that is why the same ID cannot output different value at the same time. So it will work with the last one that you are executing. So I'll make this one demo 1, and then if I go back to the front end, I should be able to see both of them. I hope that is clear because we are leaving object now. We want to look at array. I hope that is clear. If you have question, ask, because I'm leaving object. I want to look at another advanced data type.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please make sure you pay good attention to this class, particularly this advanced aspect, because the real application of JavaScript, you are going to need all these concepts. Now, let's look at the next one, which is the second advanced data type, which is called array. Like I said, if possible, we should be taking notes of some of these things for us to be able to practice before time. Since I have some of us that are in data analytics class, I think I have 2 of you here that are in data analytics class that is supposed to hold in the evening. But that class we put on hold until I get the assignment I give to us. Do a project with Python from what we have done to where we stop and be ready to present it. That is the assignment I gave for over 3 weeks now. I think it's only one person that have submitted. So I'm still waiting till the evening. If it's not ready, I will move. The class will still be placed on hold. We cannot be learning only and we are not practicing. That is not the right way of learning. It's not encouraging. In fact, at the physical center, every now and then they do in-house project defense. Because that is a way of finding out whether they can communicate their data, whether they can tell their data story. But this particular group, it's just few of us that are practicing. The rest, just drop video. So I passed my message. In case you did not say link, just know that I'm still waiting for you guys. Now,
Sir,
array.
please,
Sir,
please,
make your network knock out my network. I've
hello,
ended that
sir.
story. I can hear you. It's like your voice was breaking before. So your network wasn't clear.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you. Please, we'll talk about it later. Your network is not. Though one of us in that group has switched. That's Jane. Jane is no longer with us in that group. She has been following a new data analytics class that just started from Excel. And if you feel that you want to also join that section, want to leave this session, chat me up. So that one we are in Excel. I know some of us here, we had issue with our laptop. I think Collins is part of it. That was the reason why the girl reached out to me that it's like she cannot cope because the laptop delayed her. So if Collins also want that, she let me know so that I can take him off from this particular class and they put him there where they are still in Excel. I think they are around the some if and all those things. So I will now know the remaining people that are serious to do the work I'm giving them. So let's continue. You can chat me up on that. Array, let's look at array. Now, array is part of JavaScript advanced data type. So how do we define array? An array is a special type of object. Did you see it now? A special type of object. We just finished talking about objects. So which means that array is like a branch of what? Object. It means that it is deduced from objects. So that is the reason why I first of all took us object, so that we can see the connection. if you print objects, you are going to get objects. You are not going to get the values. I think I should verify it for us so I will see what I'm talking about. So let's say I don't want to access a value from the object. I just want to print the main object itself so that you know the difference between this and array. So if I go back to the front end now, you see what you are getting? Object. That's what you will get. So now we want to use array that can allow us to print all the values, not until we use that logic of accessing a particular value before we can see anything, not until we say object dot the value or dot the key. So that is where array come in. So array is an extraction of what? Of objects. That is, from objects we get what? Array. So just to complete the definition, I said what? Array is an array is a special type of object used to store value, used to store multiple value also. So all of them can store what? Multiple value. Multiple values in an ordered list. In an order list. So for those of us that have learned Python, it's just like what we call Python list, but in JavaScript we call it what? Array. So let's say the task given to us is that create JS array of fruits, for example. That is collection of fruits. We want to store 2 or more fruits in the array. So I will say let the name of the array be fruits. Let the name of the array be fruits equals to, now take note of the bracket. The bracket is square bracket. You can see it. Object bracket was colon bracket. Array object is square bracket. Take note of this. Now, if the values are string, we also put them in quotes, which is let's say apple. I'll use comma to separate them. The next one, let's say mango. The next one, let's say pawpaw. So let's say I have array of this list of fruits. So remember, you must always end with semicolon. Now, how do I print my array now? How do I print my array? To print my array is for me to use any of the method. So let me use, I want us to be familiar with this method of printing because that is the one we are going to use almost 90% when we start applying it. So ID, I want to give this one demo 2. Now, I will say what? Document, I want to print. So you can see, I want to print the array the way I printed object that showed us object instead of the value of the object. So dot get element by ID, get element by ID. So that the ID is demo 2, and then the ID is demo 2, then dot inner HTML dot, sorry, got it wrong, dot inner HTML, then equals to the name of the array, which is what? Fruits. So if I run this, you see that I should be able to see all the values outputted. So you can see it now. So where you want to display, that is why most time in programming we use array, because array allow us to access the values, not until we want to access them one after the other. All right, so the same logic, if I want to print one value from this, maybe I'm not printing all. If you try using that logic that we use there, so if you want to print, let's say, particular value from this array, we are not going to use that logic that we use for objects. We are going to talk about indexing. I think I spoke about this in Python for those that were in Python section. Now, indexing means that we want to use the numerical positioning of every element in an array to call them out, knowing that in programming, the very first element is at index 0. I believe we must have spoke about that before. The second one is at index 1. The third one is at what? Index 2. The logic is that it counts the element before the one you are looking up to. Before you count apple, what you have there is nothing, which is 0. That is why apple is at what? 0. Before you call mango, you count apple, 1. That is why mango is 1. Before you count pawpaw, you must have counted apple and mango. That is why pawpaw is at index what? 2. So if I want to print out mango, who can tell us what I'm going to do? So I'll say what? Document, while I'm waiting for what I'm going to do, let me be writing this. Document.get element by ID, and then let me use demo2, then dot inner HTML equals to. So what do I do here?
Which one do you want to output?
I want to output mango.
One.
Good. So I will say, I will call the name of that array. Then I will use square bracket to select the index number, which is what? 1.
1.
And then I will end it. So let's go to the front end and check. So we are able to what? To print what? Mango. I hope that is clear to everybody. So you can see, you can come here now and say you want to, all the data structure have their own way of handling them. So that is for, so if I want to print, now you know how to print the entire array and you know how to print only a certain value from the array. That will now take us to, we have so many, we have what we call array method. We have what we call, yeah, you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
This one you have putted only 1. If maybe you want to write like I love mango and you want to
Put that
1.
message.
Can you add other things attached?
What you will do is that you will capture those things as string first. You capture them as string before you now say you put I love mango in a string, then immediately after it, then you will now concatenate it with a fruit select 1. You understand?
Okay.
So that you print. If you are working with your system, you can try that for a few minutes or so few seconds. Let's see.
No, I don't have system.
What happened to your system? No light.
No light to. Not to find money by solar.
I thought they say you bought solar before.
No, it's solar fan.
Okay. Okay, so let's look at some array methods, and then I'll give us assignment on this. After an array has been created, there are functions that we can use to manipulate it. And those functions are classified under array what? Methods or array functions. We refer to them as array method or array functions. So there are up to like 30 if not more than. But I cannot take us through all of them. So I will just focus on the popular ones. Then you go and research on the remaining one. They have a similar structure. Once you have the name and the role of it, then you can always know how to apply it. So we want to look at that now before we go to function, if the time permits us. So let me use comment. So we are looking at array method. We can call them methods or we call them functions. Functions. So I said these are JavaScript array functions used to manipulate the contents of array. For example, this is now bringing us to what we call soft coding, because ordinarily if I want to, let's say I forgot to add a particular fruit here. If I want to go hard coding, I am supposed to come back here and manually add it. But we are saying that in programming, you do not need to go through that. So all you need is to consult any of the function that can help you to send the value in. So, and any of these functions, they are referred to as what? The array function. So example of the few ones I want to look at is number one, I want to start with what we call push. So we can refer to it as dot push because we are going to be concatenating it with an existing array. So what is push? Push is an array method that helps us to add one or more element to the end of an array. The keyword there, yes, it adds. It allows us to add. But where will it add it? To the end. To the end, which means that the end is after purple. So if I'm interested in adding it before mango, then I shouldn't use push. There should be another function for that. So how do we add it? So let's say the task here is that watermelon. Add watermelon. Don't know whether I'm correct with watermelon. To the array. So the syntax is that you will call that particular array that you want to add something else to. Then you will not concatenate it. So in this case now, I will not say, okay. You want to say something?
It's the melon. It's double L, not I.
This is L. I don't know if my sister. This is L I'm typing. Okay, double L, Abby?
No I.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Now you have to call that particular array sorry, that you want to add the new value into, which is fruit in this case. Then concatenate it with the method, which is push. Then you open the bracket. What are you adding? If it is a string, then you have to put it in quote. If it is a number, you don't need to put it in quote. So for a string, I will just say what? We are adding the melon. That is what we are adding. If I want to add another one, I'll put comma and use and keep. Once you want to add more than one, you put square brackets inside and select them. Now, so this is how to add using push. Now, you have to print again if you want to see whether it has added the melon, because this is just like you are updating. So you have to print with the method again. So let me just copy this to save my time. Control C. So you have to print again. So if I go back to the front end, you see that what? It printed out everything and added what? The melon. I hope it's clear. That is how to use the push as one of the array method. So you can see
I
that
say if you want to add number that you're not going to
you are not
put
going
it.
to quote it. That is if you have an array of number. So if I say what? Let number equals to, and then I have array of number, let's say this. And I want to add maybe 100 after 7. That is when you say num dot push, and then you just say you want to add 100. You don't need to quote it. I hope you understand what I mean now. You do, because it's number you are
Okay.
adding to.
Okay.
So now if I do print document, don't know whether what I copy is still active. So if I do something like this, Control C, and then I need to change this to num. So let's say I'm still using this. So if I go back there now, you see that what is printed out the previous one and added what? The 100. So that is how to work with that. So I want to take another, which is pop. Another one, which is pop. So pop is another JavaScript array method, which is used to remove the last element from an array and return that element. It will remove it and return it. So for example, now I want to remove that one we added. So the syntax is going to be, you always call the array, then you concatenate which method you are using. Let's say what? This. And then what you are going to do here now, in the case of pop, you are going to specify the you are not putting anything inside because it knows that you are to remove the last element. It's the one that will factor it out. So I have to just go and print again. So I will just say what? Documents. Let me just copy this to save my time. Control C. I will just say, sorry. Sorry, I didn't copy. Thought I copied it. So Control C. So document dot, so I'll just call fruit again. So if I go there now, let's see what we have. So you see that what? It has removed what? The last element. It has removed the last element. So that is for pop. Whenever you want to delete the last element, instead of you coming here manually, just consult the pop. Yes?
If you want to remove something like, let me say, the mango now, you now put that 2. You put the 1, Abby.
Which one?
Let me say you don't want to remove the last one. There is a
Okay,
particular.
let's say you want to remove okay, you're talking about whether you want to remove these functions. These functions have their unique. You cannot manipulate them. What they have created to do is what they will do. What you are trying to say now is that if you want to remove one, you use the index to identify that one. Is that not what you are trying to say?
Yes, maybe the one you want to remove is not at the end or the front.
No, that is why there is another method for it where you define.
Okay.
They are like templates. You only consult them when your task matches what they are created for. You cannot change them. So that is why you have to know many of them. I told you that they are up to like 30. So, and all of them, they are designed for different tasks. So depending on what you want to do. So let's just look at one more, which is shift. So you take the other was an assignment, go and research on at least not less than 15 of them. And then also apply them in your code. So the next class, you just show me like this. that this is one I research on, this is how I apply it, this is the definition. Use comment to explain it. So want to take the next one, which is called shift. So shift is to remove the first element. You can see shift is like the opposite of the pop. If I want to remove the first element, not the last element, that is when you use shift. So the same thing I will call the what? The element, sorry, the array, and then I'll say what? Shift. Shift. Then I don't need to put anything there because it knows that it's designed for removing the first element. So all I need to do is to what? To print again. So let me just save my time by taking the whole of this, Control C, paste it, and then I'll just reprint again. So if I go there now, I should see that the first element, which was apple, has been taken off. So that is for shift. That is for shift. Then we also have,
Oh, sir.
okay.
Since it's just for shift, why did this still remove this thing, that watermelon?
You have already removed it before now. You
Okay,
have
that one.
removed it with pop, so it doesn't exist any longer.
Okay, until you remove that particular one, you used to remove it.
Yes. So
Okay.
that one, that update has been given. So watermelon is no longer there. So it was left with apple, mango, and I think the other one. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir.
Any question?
Mm.
Let me
No.
hear from other people that are here.
No, sir. So what I want to ask, what do you say we should bring, browse and get order for?
The
I'm not here.
the assignment,
Yes.
the assignment, you have to research on more JavaScript array methods, not less than 15. I have treated how many so far now? Pop is 1, push is 2, shift is 3. So I want to do one more, which is called on shift. So on shifts is to add one or more element to the beginning. So on shift is just like the opposite of push. Push added to the end, while on shift add what? To the beginning. So you can see that gradually we begin to know how to go. There is another one that will allow you to define where exactly you want to. So I hope you get that through your research. So now let's say on shift, I'll call back the name of it, then dot on shift. Dot on shift. Now here you are adding. So because you are adding, you have to put something in the bracket. It's only when you are removing that it knows what to remove. So I'm adding which of those ones that have been removed. Now I think apple is no longer there. Let me add another thing entirely. Let's see what cashew. All right, so now let's print again. Let us print again to see if we will have the cashew added to the beginning of the array. To the beginning of the array. So, colleagues, I hope you are following. So let me print again and see.
Yes.
So you can
Yes, sir.
see that we have added the cashew. So that's why I said all of these have their unique. It's just for you to know what to do with them. Any question? Any question? If there's no question, there's no question, I'll be stopping here so that we can go and master this one. Like, remember the assignment too, don't forget, if you like, it is only from Purity that is always off with assignments. Flourish, Happy birthday in advance. I know that you will not touch computer tomorrow. Tomorrow is your day. I know. This will not be saying you will not touch computer tomorrow. And after tomorrow now, we are supposed to meet again. So I don't know. Maybe you just do your assignment today. Because tomorrow, just try and do it. Everybody do it today. If you don't do it, don't expect link for Thursday class. I know opportunity will try. Call it, please. Let everybody, this assignment should not take time. This one is a minor
Sir,
one.
please, sir, please. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Please, let's use this opportunity to discuss this. Collins,
Yes.
I want to do on a meeting now. It's only Collins that is
have you done
that is-
your assignment? You people are
It's a
delaying me. This thing is disturbing me.
data
But
analysis.
I don't want to record
person,
this kind of conversation.